Good morning, everyone. Paul Rupel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope your Friday's off to a fantastic start. Welcome back to News Now. We're with you weekdays at 10 a.m. after Good Day Philadelphia. You're looking live at the boardwalk in Wildwood where folks are getting ready for the weekend. See some folks already out and about on the boardwalk enjoying the sunshine. Nicer start to the day. We are not expecting storms today. It's been we're expecting to be mostly sunny and breezy afternoon, in fact. Let's get you a look outside our studios in Old City, Philadelphia. Currently it's 72 degrees. Dew point is 59, so not as humid as it was this time yesterday. And winds out of the northwest at 11 miles per hour. Here's a quick look at Ultimate Doppler. What you don't see is storms. Like the last couple days, we're starting off sunny for the most part. We had a little bit of fog down at the shore yesterday. But we've got sunshine and we're not expecting significant storms like we have had the last 3 days. I think we're at least 3 tornadoes in our area in recent days. Let's get you out to some of our reporting our crews have been doing around those storms and the cleanup from them. Another tornado, another morning still without power for some, another day of cleanup. And there's a lot of cleanup across the area. Steve Keeley had this report from Doylestown this morning.
Look, it was only a half hour ago I talked about the dangers of the power lines down. Well, even the experts who work on power lines face danger. A Verizon worker got electrocuted, we just learned here, right on Clemens Road. He's on a pole, and then somebody with a remote switch is flipping on power, trying to get power back on, flips the switch somewhere at Pico, and nearly kills a Verizon worker now at Abington Hospital. Paralysis on at least one side and heart trouble, and hopefully he survives. But serious stuff out here after yet another storm last night knocked out power from 7:30 to about 2:30 for the people that got power back on. But some have no power again, and we're coincidentally just down the block from where the guy got electrocuted. Here's the Wawa. You're going to see people flying in here. They need to take these Wawa cones. I don't know why anybody doesn't understand that. I know you usually use them for the wet floor and put them in the driveway to keep people, because everybody's trying to get in here. But when you walk up to the door on the other side, Greg, when you walk up to the door, that's a little sign on there on the one that's in the corner here and says closed, no power. That's all they have. And so anybody's coming in here, and then they pull on the door, and the staff is in there. You can say, all right, they got no power. Why are the lights on? Well, there's a generator going next door you can hear humming, but they probably have emergency lights. But the problem is we've been at Wawa's before, and Greg's going to come back to me now. Greg's going to come back here where I am now, and you can see people walking up and wondering what's going on, people pulling in. Now she's putting up another no power sign on the other door as we're here, because maybe put some cones out by the thing and you won't be bothered by the customers. But this is a Wawa, and this is morning, and even though there's a Wawa like every half mile throughout Philadelphia, this one is like the only one in Doylestown anywhere near it. And even the 7-Eleven across town, they were without power. So you got a traffic jam here at the Wawa as Greg spins around. You can see people walking around going, what's going on, especially when there's nobody in the parking lot. So big trouble up here. We're not far from the Linden School, Alex, that you mentioned, that's without power. So no power means no school, no business. And we talked to a fella who has no power, and last night he decided to go out with friends to a restaurant, and guess what happens in the middle of dinner? Here's a little bit of Tim Block's story.
Our power at home is still out. We live on Belmont, but we went to Slate Blue. The power went out after dinner was served, and we continued on with a very nice dinner.
Ate by candlelight?
Yes, there were candles there anyway, and it was still pretty bright out for a while. We ate early.
It was still daylight at 7:30 when power went out. So
yeah.
You couldn't believe, here we go again. You're already out with power at home, so you go out to a restaurant in the middle of dinner, the restaurant loses power in the next storm.
That's right, yeah, it's pretty frustrating. Mostly concerned about the town getting back into operation with all these businesses here. And on a Friday night, I'm pretty concerned about that.
All right, so again, there's a lot of generators, but a lot of people do not have generators. I admit I wouldn't even know how to hook up a generator, but the problem when you have these power outages, even as I just said, a Verizon worker who works on utility poles for a living, stay away from these down lines because they're trying to get power back on. And when they flip the switch, who knows what wires they have even been notified about could be turned from dead lines to live lines and kill somebody. So very serious stuff out here without the power in Doylestown.
Thank you to our Steve Keeley for that report. Let's take a live look at Doylestown while we're talking about it. Let me get that, dial that up for you. Here's that shot from the old Bucks County Courthouse with the flags waving in the wind. Again, the cleanup continues there after that storm. Let me get you the specs on that storm that occurred yesterday. I believe it was an EF0. Yes, there was, yesterday's storms were the EF0 tornado near Lower Milford Township and another for damage in Montgomery County. That was determined to be caused by straight line winds of 80 to 110 miles per hour with more details pending. So those are the two incidents from Wednesday that folks are still cleaning up from. The storm, the tornado was in Lower Milford Township in Lehigh County. That's where it started. It ended in Milford Township in Bucks County from 3:14 to 3:21, so about 7 minutes long. EF0 rating with estimated maximum wind speed of 80 miles per hour and a maximum path width of 50 yards. And it covered a path of about 2.3 miles on the ground. So it's a weak tornado, but it obviously caused some damage up in Bucks County. You saw the reporting there from Steve Keeley in the Doylestown area. Now let's get you to our Sabina Kiriakos. She was in Montgomery County, where people were waking up this morning to a big mess still, and a major cleanup is underway. Sabina reported this from, I believe this is from Upper Salford Township.
So we're now starting up day 2 of the cleanup after this storm, and really they're just getting started. The crews, they're still working to clear out a lot of these roadways, trying to move that debris at least to the side of the road, and that's before they can really start the cleanup process and get these power lines back up and working. You can see utility crews out here right now. People have been coming out of their homes trying to continue assessing the damage to their property, their vehicles, and their houses. We talked to a lot of neighbors who said that last night's rainstorm right around 5 o'clock, around the same time that that storm hit on Wednesday. Well, yesterday the rain wasn't too bad. It was really Wednesday with that hail, rain, and wind that brought down all these trees, telephone lines, wires, and really just caused a lot of terror and damage. Listen.
And he just looked terrified because the tree just had fallen right across the road right in front of his van. And I checked on him. He said he was okay. And then on the other, behind him, there was another blue car where the telephone pole had fallen with the wires right in front of his car. It hit the front of his car, and the wires, bounced off his mirror. Actually, tore the mirror off the side of his car door.
So my phone has cellular data. Well, my mom's does, and so they sent an email out saying that some of your buses may not get to you.
Okay.
And
so we don't have transportation, but you're thinking you have school?
Yes.
Okay. And this morning we have been picking our way around downed power lines, trying to be very, very careful. We also saw school kids trying to get to their parents' car, trying to walk to school. They were trying to get around these downed power lines as well. We actually heard from the fire department. They tell us that PECO is back out here in the area. They're going to start working on these lines, so we are giving them a lot of room to try to do that and maintain our own safety as well. And that's the advice, of course, for the people who live in this area as well. The fire department, they were working all day yesterday trying to help out their community. Finally, late last night, crews were able to go home and assess their own property damage, and they were assisted by mutual aid, who then took over overnight. But a lot of these firefighters who are from the community are now back out here, barely any rest, and now they're going to be continuing to help out these neighbors and the folks in their community. We are in Upper Salford Township, Montgomery County. Sabina Kariakos, Fox 29 News.
Thank you to Sabina for that report. Another live look at Doylestown, Pennsylvania, the county seat of Bucks County. Looking, I believe this is to the south and east. And that's Main and State, I believe, out in front. Used to work up in Doylestown. Beautiful shot. Sometimes when the camera's tilted up a little bit, you can see way off into the distance. Yesterday we could see a lot of clouds and those storms rolling in. We were trying to turn the camera around, get a look at some of the storms as they passed to the north, and then they came to the south of there. Alrighty, let's get you a full look at weather here. Here again is your live look at Ultimate Doppler, and what you're happy to see is most of the rain and moisture is to our south and not expected to impact our area like it has the past few days. Current temperatures, 74 in the city, 70s across almost the entire area. The lone holdout Mount Pocono, where it's currently 62. Warm spot is Wildwood at 78 right now. In the northeast, we've got temperatures as high as 79 down in the mid-Atlantic there. Charlottesville and Ocean City, Maryland, tying there. 60s further inland. 50s up in New England and Toronto, Canada. Once again, the Gulf Coast is in the 80s already, and all the way up to Raleigh, 81. 79 in Atlanta. 50s on the West Coast. Santa Fe, is that the cool spot right now? 50 degrees? Looks like it. It's a little bit cooler out there for the city than it was at the same hour yesterday, but warmer over in New Jersey, most of Central and North Jersey. Or it was much cooler yesterday morning. Your wind speeds right now, 12 miles per hour in the city, a little lower, a little higher around. Here's your gusts. You see we're getting gusts to 18 in Millville and 16 in Georgetown, Delaware. Winds coming out of the northwest, excuse me. Your visibilities right now, very good all around. We did have some thick fog at the shore yesterday morning, but not the case today. Satellite, mostly clear skies, a little bit of cloud cover over central and western Pennsylvania. Here comes your look at the National Futurecast. See, we are staying dry through the day and into Saturday morning. Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. Sunny and nice today, 84. It's going to be a gem. We'll call it a 9 on our forecast by the numbers. Sun and clouds, 85 on Saturday. We'll call that an 8. Overnight low of 64. Then we'll have some sun and thunderstorms on Sunday, 82. So we'll get back into some stormy weather there. We're still going to call that a 7. Monday, sunny and cooler, 70. Tuesday looks sunny and nice at 74. Wednesday, a shower chance, 81. And then a storm chance on Thursday, 81. To start the work week, we will have some nice sleeping weather. Looks like overnight lows in the 50s. And if you don't already have it, make sure to download the Fox 29 Weather Authority app. You can follow the forecast, get hourly conditions, see our future cast and current radar, the last couple of loops of the radar, and track the storms. If they come in, you'll get location-based alerts based on your location or the ones that you set. So download this today in the Apple, iTunes, and Google Play stores. Right now, you're looking at the stock market, currently down a little over 1 percentage point, or 282 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average at 2484. It's dipped below the 25,000 mark threshold. Part of the reason for the lower stock indices today, stocks and bond yields have been tumbling after President Trump threatened Mexico with tariffs. The stocks opened, as you can see there, they opened sharply lower Friday. Fox Business reports that investors fear that President Donald Trump's surprise decision late Thursday to impose those tariffs on all Mexican imports, combined with the trade war with China, risks slowing economic growth. Of course, the president is making that threat if something isn't done about illegal immigration. Fox's Doug Luzader reports from Washington with the specific numbers the president is talking about.
Well, the markets are already roiled by this, and Mexico is trying to defuse this situation before any new tariffs go into effect. On the same day that Customs and Border Protection released this video showing the biggest group of illegal immigrants they've ever seen crossing the border in Texas, President Trump had made it clear that something big was coming.
And it will be my biggest statement so far on the border. We have brought something to the light of the people.
And it was a big statement, a threat to impose new tariffs on Mexico if the government there doesn't do more to help crack down on illegal immigration. A new across-the-board tariff of 5% hits on June 10th, about a week and a half away, and if nothing is done, it eventually escalates to 25% in October. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney defended the move in a conference call with reporters.
The crisis at the border is now. The crisis at the border is urgent, and we are interested in seeing the Mexican government react tonight. Tomorrow.
And react they did. In fact, Mexico's president invoked the image of the Statue of Liberty, saying it's not an empty symbol. And this does come at a delicate time, as the White House is trying to pass a new trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. And critics say the move will not help that effort.
We negotiated a new NAFTA that hasn't passed Congress, but now the president is going to go to our trading partners and launch tariffs on them. He's just ticking everyone off.
But the president, on the other hand, says that this is a national emergency and that Congress has refused to act. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
There again, you see the stock market down about 273 points at this moment. The president, of course, has been active on Twitter this morning, rebutting some of the remarks from people about this situation. About an hour ago, he tweeted, "Hard to believe that the crisis on the border, the Dems won't do the quick and easy fix, would solve the problem, but they want open borders, which equals crime." And then he also tweeted about 50 minutes ago, "Mexico has taken advantage of the United States for decades. Because of the Dems, our immigration laws are bad. Mexico makes a fortune from the U.S., have for decades. They can easily fix this problem. Time for them to finally do what must be done." Last night, the initial tweet from the president was that on June 10th, the United States will impose a 5% tariff on all goods coming into our country from Mexico until such time as illegal migrants coming through Mexico and into our country stop. The tariff will gradually increase until the illegal immigration problem is remedied, at which time the tariffs will be removed. Details from the White House to follow. So again, that was President Trump's remarks via Twitter on the tariffs he's threatening on Mexico as a result of the immigration crisis. We'll keep you posted if we see any new or different information. But the headline from the Associated Press right now, stock slump after U.S. expands trade war to Mexico. And the Wire noting that the slump all but guarantees that May will be the first monthly loss for the market in 2019. The new front in the trade war is hitting automakers particularly hard. Many of them import vehicles into the U.S. from Mexico. And technology stocks led the decliners. They've been hurt the most over escalating rhetoric and tariffs in the U.S. trade war with China. Cisco fell 2.2% and Apple fell 1.2%. So we'll continue to follow that and bring you any new developments as they come in. In the meantime, have one other national story to get you, and then we'll talk a little more business. More sex abuse charges for R. Kelly. The entertainer was charged yesterday with 11 new counts of sexual assault in Illinois. This case involves only one victim. Each charge carries a mandatory minimum of 6 years in prison. 4 of them are felonies. In February, Kelly was charged with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse involving 4 victims. Alcohol for $1? Dollar Tree will soon serve beer at 1,000 of its Family Dollar stores. Here is Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco with the report.
Okay, so let's get back to this Family Dollar, the store.
It's Dollar?
Family Dollar.
Okay.
Hey, Tracy. dollar bills.
Dollar makes you want to holla. Okay. Holla for some alcohol. Can you believe this? Could they really be selling it for $1?
Yes, well, Family Dollar has announced that they're going to be adding alcohol to 1,000 of its stores, an effort to boost sales at its struggling stores. Now, they haven't clarified if they were going to be selling that alcohol for $1, because they also said they're going to be expanding the test to sell things at a higher price point, not just that standard dollar price point. So I'm not sure if this will fall under that or if the alcohol will really be $1, because in that case, what kind of alcohol is this that they're selling?
Something out the box.
Yes. So
Plastic bottles.
I'm not sure, but they haven't clarified this yet. They announced it yesterday during their earnings report, their first quarter earnings report. But in addition to that, they're going to be adding freezers and coolers to about 400 stores to add more food options. And then, as I mentioned, expanding beyond that $1 price point.
I think it's a good idea because, like you said, their sales are declining, and it'll Target. Remember when Target didn't have food?
Yeah.
It sure helped them to have food.
But the thing is, it's still going to have to be, even if they do make it more than $1, it's supposed to be a lower price point, because otherwise you could just go to a regular store, liquor store or something.
Yeah.
But then you wonder, how are they able to afford to mark it down so low? Is it old or something?
Maybe it's just the bottles you get on airplanes. They're that size.
The mini bottles.
Little mini bottles. Hey, Tracy, you don't
Yes.
live. I should have researched this. No. We can't have. This wouldn't be hard liquor at a Family Dollar in Pennsylvania. We can't do that, can we? Our laws don't allow that.
The press release said adult beverages. So however you read that, whether it's hard alcohol, beer, wine, not exactly sure yet. I think we're going to have to wait until the stores start putting it on their shelves.
We're just getting wine at our grocery stores.
Yeah, please.
So this would be a huge development.
Well, lucky you. We don't have it at our grocery stores here in New York.
No.
Really? Well, growing up in Texas, you can get it at gas stations, grocery stores.
Please. I got it at my church. Wine.
They even have drive-thrus.
Oh, yeah, drive-through liquor stores. Heck yes. Woo!
What was that? Was that your Texan accent? What was that?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Bye, Tracy. We'll see you on Monday.
Bye-bye. See you Monday.
See, she looks like she works at a very busy place, doesn't she?
And then we have, hey, look, there's a Coca-Cola truck.
Hi.
Yeah.
Thank you to Tracy Carrasco for that report. Before we get too far away from national news, I remembered I do have a segment from this morning to show you. This was Mike Jarek talking with Chris Wallace, the host of Fox News Sunday. They were talking, I believe they were talking more about the claim that the President Trump ordered, or for some reason, I should say, the USS John McCain's name was hidden from view during his visit in Japan. Let's listen to that report.
I want to get right down to Chris Wallace down in Washington, D.C. I haven't heard too much about this thing that happened when President Trump was over in Japan. Is it an aircraft carrier, the USS John McCain? Is that what it is?
No, it's a destroyer.
A destroyer. And it's docked off the coast of Japan?
No, it's docked in the harbor, in Yokohama Harbor.
Okay.
Instead of we doing Q&A, let me just tell you the story. So what happened was that it was docked very near a naval vessel that the president was going to go visit his last day in Japan. And the White House military office, there's a military office inside the White House, which acts as a liaison between the military and the president, who, of course, is commander-in-chief, sent out a note that ended up being passed on to officials at that harbor, which said, you know, a couple of things you need to do, and 3, make sure that John McCain is out of sight when the president goes to that naval vessel.
Wow.
There seems to be a lot of false reporting that they had said to cover it up. That apparently wasn't true, that the sailors on the McCain were told not to go to the vessel that the president was going to be speaking on. But it's clear that the president is, you know, it's no secret, just plain doesn't like John McCain. This boat is named after him and his father and grandfather, who are both admirals in the Navy. The president came out the other day and said, I didn't know about it and I never would have done that. But clearly somebody, because it is true that the military office sent this message to the Navy, that somebody in the Navy thought, or in the military office thought that this would tick off the presidency, that John McCain there near him. So they made sure that as much as they could that he wouldn't get a chance to see it.
It seems incredibly petty.
I won't disagree with that.
Wow.
I mean, here you've got a war hero. And incidentally, Patrick Shanahan, the acting defense secretary, said the same thing. He said, I would never do anything to dishonor the memory of a war hero. But look, President Trump has made it clear. I mean, you know, John McCain's been dead almost a year now. I think it's 8, 9, 10 months. And the president continues to attack him. And in fact, on the South Lawn this week, while saying I had nothing to do with this, he again said why he dislikes John McCain, among other reasons, because he thinks that he killed health care reform, Obamacare repeal.
All right, real quickly, I know you have a town hall. I like when you do that. Who's the guest?
Well, real quickly, on the morning, on Sunday morning, we're going to have Doug Collins, the top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, to talk about Mueller. We're going to have a top White House official to talk about the president imposing tariffs on Mexico unless they stop immigration. And then at night, 7 p.m. on Fox News Channel, a town hall with Kirsten Gillibrand, New York Senator. A lot of people thought she was going to be the front runner when this all started. She's struggling now.
People say she's dull and stuff like that. All right, I'll be watching both. Thanks, Chris.
Well, she's dull. Mike, that's a heck of a lead-in to promote the show. No, she's fascinating, she's scintillating, and it'll be a can't-miss hour of television.
Fun exchange there at the end. So, yes, President Trump tweeted yesterday, the Navy put out a disclaimer on the McCain story. It looks like the story was an exaggeration or even fake news, but why not? Everything else is. That was the president's one of the president's tweets in reaction to that story. Thank you to Chris Wallace for bringing all those facts to the conversation about what happened. Again, it sounds like an office at the White House recommended keeping the McCain out of view, and somehow a tarp got placed over the side of the ship. So the president facing some questions about that, but denying any knowledge of it. And that's the story on that one. We'll see as reporting continues to develop what happened there. One other just in tweet from the president: in order not to pay tariffs, if they start rising, companies will leave Mexico, which has taken 30% of our auto industry, and come back home to the USA. Mexico must take back their country from the drug lords and cartels. The tariff is about stopping drugs as well as illegals. And again, the president following up on his earlier remarks about the Mexico tariffs. You're looking live outside our studios at 4th and Market Streets, Old City, Philadelphia. Catch my place here again. All right. Get you a few more local stories. In Bucks County, friends and family gathered for a vigil honoring a 16-year-old boy who lost his life in a kayaking accident. candles lined the path to the spot at Mill Creek in Levittown, where Phil Ozer Reddick fell out of his kayak. Dozens of loved ones and friends came out in the pouring rain last night to remember him. He was a student at Neshaminy High who played hockey and had started his own landscaping business, caring for 50 lawns. During the vigil, they played country music, which Phil loved, and set up his pictures along the creek.
It's just amazing seeing how many people cared about him and knew how he lived, and it's all the people that he showed love to.
I'm like his older brother to him, and he's here in 1 minute, next thing you know he's gone the next. And I just talked to him before he passed away.
Investigators say Phil fell out of his kayak on the creek during the storm on Wednesday night. Rescuers tried to save him before rushing him to the hospital where he died. A Delaware woman takes a trip to the Dominican Republic, becoming the victim of a brutal hotel attack. She's back in the U.S. and wants others to be on alert. She joined us on Good Day Philadelphia this morning to tell her story, but we want to warn you some of the images of her injuries may be hard to watch.
When I gained consciousness again, it was when he was rolling me over onto my stomach, and he wrapped something around my throat at that point. And he proceeded to strangle me, and at that point I knew I was dead.
A Delaware woman on vacation in the Dominican Republic comes back home looking like this after a brutal attack, and now she wants everyone to be on alert.
And she is here with us this morning. Tammy, thanks for coming in. And Chris, of course, your husband of 15 years?
15 years.
15 years. How much of it do you remember?
The conscious parts I remember well, but the problem was I was unconscious so much of the time throughout the beating and being in the crawl space area. Those are areas that I don't remember, so I don't know what happened.
Go back. You have two sons.
Yes.
You've been married 15 years. You want to take a little romantic getaway,
Yes.
right, to the Dominican Republic. And what time of day is this?
It's at night. We went to see a theater show, and the theater show was over, and we walked back to our room, so it was about 10:30 at night.
And this is one of those all-inclusive resorts,
All-inclusive,
right?
yeah.
And so you're going to get some food?
I was hangry, so I decided to call room service, but it was out of service or something. So I just told him that I was going to stop down in the lounge and grab a snack, and I'd be right back.
And this is where it happened?
It did not. When I went down to the lounge, there was a lot of butlers and other resort workers in the lounge, so I bypassed it to go to the other lounge on the beach. So as I was walking towards that lounge, it happened in the corridor.
And you said you mentioned it was quiet, or what were you,
It was
what
really
did you see
quiet.
before it happened?
Well, it was really funny because the theater literally just let out, not 15 minutes before that. So there was a lot of bustle around us. So when I walked into that next corridor in that next building, it was just eerily quiet. There was nobody around, and it just was odd.
And there was no interaction between the two of you?
No.
The person didn't say anything before they attacked?
When he hit me, he grunted, and that's the noise I have.
Where did you get hit first?
When he hit me, he immobilized me basically. He grabbed my arms so I couldn't move my arms, and he put his hand over my mouth. And then at that time I tried to bite his hand, and when he let go,
it just got worse.
It just got worse.
And then they tried to strangle you.
He strangled me at that point.
You think he was trying to kill you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It was. I believe it was premeditated.
Wow. So you think maybe he saw you earlier in the day at the resort, or he just saw that you're walking alone?
I don't know if it was me particularly, just I might have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, but the way he hit me and where he hit me is right there next to that maintenance room, and he knew it was unlocked, and that's where he
Chris, how did you find out about it, Chris?
Well, I woke up and she wasn't there. She didn't come back. I called our friends James and Diane that went with us, and we went out at almost 2 o'clock in the morning, walking around the whole resort looking for her.
And you found her?
No.
Oh,
Well, didn't you also try to alert the hotel?
We went to the hotel. We went to the front desk. We went to
us.
security, and they basically were like, you know, she's sleeping it off somewhere like she was drunk. And we're like, no, she wasn't drunk, because there's beds and stuff all over the resort. My first thought was she tripped and fell and hit her head and got knocked out. And we went back to the room like 4 in the morning, waited maybe she would come back.
Yeah.
And then we got up about 5:30, went out again, went back to the front desk. They came back. They're just like, no, we didn't see anything. And I'm like, did you even look? And they're like, we're going to get on our quad and go through the beach, which we already did. And we just thought, let's go to the medical center they have in the resort. They said somebody was found that fell. And we were waiting around there, and they pulled up in the golf cart, and she had a robe on, and we seen her from behind, and I was like, oh, that's not her.
Even though it was her, you just didn't recognize her?
Because her hair was all matted and stuff. She had a white robe on.
And the extent of the injuries.
We've seen the pictures.
Those pictures
I wouldn't
look
know
good.
it was you.
Yeah.
Those pictures look good. I was reached out on Facebook. There was a gentleman who actually saw me that morning when they pulled me out of that room.
My God.
And he told me he was an ex-paramedic and cop, but he said, I've seen injuries, and he said, I actually, when I saw you, I didn't think you were going to survive.
Well,
those
did you
injuries."
think, Chris, that you had lost your wife?
Yes.
At that point?
Yeah. The only way we recognized her was by her shoes.
Wow.
Diane seen her shoes and was like, that's Tam. And when I walked around to the front, looked at her, I just lost it.
Yeah, yeah.
So how long were you gone for then?
About 8 hours.
8
just
hours.
8 hours or just over.
Okay, so tell me more about this all-inclusive resort. Do you have to have a pass to get onto the
Yes.
grounds?
Yes.
Is there a gate? Or you guys
There's a wall, there's gates.
Yeah.
So who
there's
do you think it was?
security.
Do you think it was another guest or an employee?
I believe it was an employee. I saw his uniform. When I was trying to get away from him, I kind of turned and looked down, and I could see his uniform shirt that had the Majestic
So what's
Elegance.
happened? What did the cops do down there?
We didn't see the cops till 2 days later.
2
when she was in
days
the hospital.
What?
Yeah, in the hospital.
Wow.
They showed a
Yeah.
picture of a stick that had blood on it, and I asked, did you get like fingerprints or
Right.
anything off it? And they're like,
So is this all over?
Yeah.
So the investigation has been concluded?
we
or
were
they
supposed
just...
to get police reports back in February.
We couldn't
We
get
got
anything.
nothing. Our lawyers got nothing.
So what about the hotel? What did the hotel have to say since it happened on their property?
Nothing. We tried to work with them outside of the courts, and basically, since we could not prove that it was a resort employee, they have no liability.
Even though it
towards us.
happened on their property?
Yes, no cameras.
So are we going to continue the legal side of this?
Well, our lawyers have now dropped us as clients because at this point, our only recourse is to sue through the Dominican judicial system. However, everything we've been told, we've been told just to walk away from it.
Listen to
Just
this.
to walk
This
away.
happened in late January. That's not that long ago. The amazing healing power of the human body.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
look good.
Thank you.
I see that even talking about it, and understandably so, you're still emotional. What made you want to come out and share your story and show these pictures to everyone?
Well, at this point, I was a little stronger to be able to, speak out. But it's one of those things where we're in paradise. You let your guard down to enjoy yourself, and I want more women and to understand that they shouldn't be doing that. They have to be on guard. They have to be safe. They should be walking with somebody. And the reason we came out was after the incident, we started researching and Googling, and then we started finding all of the stories that were happening in all-inclusives, and not just in the hotel, the resort we were in, but all across the world. The attacks that are happening and not reported.
Because you're so right. They tell you to beware outside of the hotel property and when you go into a city, but on the hotel premises, usually you think, oh, we're fine.
You got to start doing a lot of heavy research before you go to any of these location spots.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for sharing your
Best
story.
to your
Thank you
sons,
for having
too.
us here.
Thank you.
All right.
Amazing story there, and we certainly wish her the best in her continued recovery. On the health front, Dr. Mike joined us today to talk about some news about Jeopardy host Alex Trebek, that he may be in partial remission. Also talked a little bit about why energy drinks are a new clinical trial showing they could be bad for your heart. Here was Dr. Mike's conversation with our Good Day team this morning.
We got the news the other day that Alex Trebek may be in what they call partial remission after being diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
So some have questions about what
mean?
that means, because when he announced that he had
it's great.
pancreatic cancer, a lot of people, they know just how aggressive it can be, and how usually it doesn't have a good outcome. So we're glad to hear it, but we want to know how and what it means.
Well, we don't know. So that's why I brought this guy in, Dr. Mike.
Fabulous news. Fabulous news. The fact is that he's had a reduction in his tumor size. Now remember, he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. That means that the cancer has spread. And the good news is that he is getting chemotherapy and it is working. Now there are lots of exciting new treatments coming around for things like pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is a bad actor. And the bottom line is that we really desperately need 2 things. One, to diagnose it early, and they're working on that. And the other is better treatments. And with gene therapy and with immunotherapy and chemotherapy, he's an example. And I'm hoping he may not be cured, but it'll turn into a chronic illness.
Well, you're absolutely right. Anytime we mention pancreatic cancer, rapid decline. And he's doing the opposite. Well, why is that? Why 2 different outcomes with 2 different people?
It depends on how aggressive the tumor is, and it depends on whether it's responsive to the treatment that it is being treated with. So what they do is they get a biopsy, they look at the genome, the genetics, and then they can select what kind of treatment, what chemotherapy to use. It's called precision medicine. The other thing going for him, and this is pretty wild, lots and millions of people are praying for him. Millions of people are very sick.
And another thing, his attitude from the very beginning has been so positive.
Yeah. So, believe it or not, prayer has been studied, and there are studies that show people who are prayed for actually do better. Now, I'm not going there. I'm just saying, pretty wild stuff. That's number one.
Before you leave, congratulations, wonderful. We love Alex Trebek.
We do.
Yeah.
He's in Philly every now and then doing commercials for the people across the street. There's
Penn
no
Medicine.
Colonial
Oh,
Penn.
Colonial Penn.
Penn.
Yeah.
I see, well, I know people. I might be one of them. Drinks, those energy drinks?
Yeah.
You know, man, they're selling like hotcakes.
They are.
What's this new study?
Well, the new study found that they actually increase your blood pressure. That's not really surprising to me, but also prolongs something called the QT interval. Now, when your heart beats, it actually, on your electrocardiogram, on this piece of paper that the little machine looks at, it can prolong this interval and lead to a fatal arrhythmia called torsade de pointes. Say that. Torsade de pointes. And that actually is a malignant arrhythmia and can lead to sudden cardiac death. And so people who have a history of prolonged QT interval have to be very careful, and more studies needed. I'm not a big fan of this because a lot of people add alcohol to it, and that throws kerosene on the fire.
On the fire.
Yeah.
Dr. Mike, I have an idea for you.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay.
You just
Say it.
exude happiness and love today. There's a lot of love in that.
No, I've been miserable all
He's
morning.
talking to
Well,
me.
Oh, he's talking to you? Okay.
no,
I'm
no,
kidding.
you're beautiful people.
All right.
You're
Have
beautiful.
a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
You too.
You too.
I love you.
All right, now get out.
Thank you to Dr. Mike for joining us to talk about those 2 important health topics. There are 3, I think he actually covered there. You're looking live at Ocean City, New Jersey. We've got some beachgoers ready to start the weekend early, already out there by the 9th Street Music Pier. Camera on top of Manco and Manco Pizza on the boardwalk. Beautiful day out there. If you get a chance, get outside and enjoy it, especially after all that rain. I think I saw we got like 2.5 inches of rain at home. So make sure you get outside and enjoy the sunshine today. Soak it in. And here's a nice story for your Friday. Cardboard crafts. We're speaking to a local man with a special gift. Campbell Smith is here, and he's brought some big, beautiful sculptures with him. Here was the segment from Good Day Philadelphia this morning.
Amazing.
We'll introduce our guest in just a second. This is some amazing artwork. And the pieces you're about to see are made of cardboard, and they're very familiar places that we know in Philadelphia. Our football stadium, the Art Museum, Ben Franklin Bridge. This is how it's made. This is how it all begins, and it's about a 5 or 6 month process. The fantastic artist, his name is Campbell. His brother, Kente, is also in the studio with us, and their dad, Lonnie, joins us as well. Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Where do you live?
We live in Germantown.
Okay, all this happens in Germantown.
In Germantown.
In your home.
In a small row home. So we ran out of room. We didn't have any furniture. So.
How did it start?
Well, it started when we ran out of canvas. We couldn't afford his canvas.
And Campbell is especially a good artist.
Yeah, and he has over 500 oil paintings.
Wow.
So he painted for a while, for maybe about 10, close to 15 years. And then we just couldn't afford to buy his canvas. We didn't have any room for his art, so he started grabbing boxes.
Okay. And speaking of
just
room,
cardboard boxes, wherever he could find?
Wherever he could find.
And
out of the trash, mainly. He would
come over here just a little bit. We're going to walk out of the picture here.
We're going to walk through this.
Come on, fellas. Come on over here so we can look at the art museum. So, look at this. It's the Philadelphia Museum of Art in cardboard. So how long would that take?
It was an off and on process because he liked to jump around. So I would say it took maybe about 8 months maybe to do the whole thing.
8 months. And then does he let you know what he's building before he does it, or he just gets to work and you see it as it progresses?
I see it as it progresses. Then I start to question, and then he fills me in. He doesn't, for people really to get into it while he's building. So I just say, if I ask you a question, you say to me, I'll let you know. And he lets me know.
Campbell's been dealing with autism, right?
Yeah.
And I see that your T-shirts. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. The latest is the link, right?
Yes.
George, I don't know if you can get a shot of that. There's a picture of it. Now, we've moved it. I'm going to run over real quickly and sit next to it.
So you can see perspective, yeah.
Perspective.
So where does is it inside the house, or does it outside? I mean...
He paints outside, spray paints when he needs to finish it off, let's say with primer and things like that. But he does the cutting with one tool. Campbell, where's your tool? He uses one tool.
Only one?
One tool, no measuring.
Wow.
His ability is that he can see scale, so he doesn't have to measure.
Hey, George, can you get off sticks and so you can look down into the thing like your Skyfox?
Right, and then we need to get his tool as well, because it's pretty impressive. You see what he works with. So how do you find all this cardboard? I mean, where do you get it all?
Right now, we have neighbors and giving us cardboard.
I bet the whole block is helping out.
Yeah, everybody wants to give us cardboard. It gets to be kind of like, not too much. But in the beginning, we had ordered stuff from Amazon a lot. And, he just grabbed the Amazon boxes.
Let's come back in here, because I also want to talk about, as we're showing this, is this his latest piece, the link? Or
that is the latest finished piece, yes.
The latest finished piece, okay. And you have kind of created you have created a word tell us about this word you've created, how you're trying to raise awareness about autism.
My favorite word, autisarian.
Autisarian, and what does that mean?
Well, before I go into what it means, I want to put a challenge out there to every autistic person watching the show. A challenge to, let's say, look in the mirror and ask yourself one question. The question will probably make you see yourself differently, maybe see autism differently. The question is, what's my disability? What's my disability? And I asked my sons this question, and their answers were amazing. The answer was, they didn't know. So I said to them, your disability is that you believe that you have a disability.
Wow.
Okay? So I asked myself the question. I looked in the mirror, and I looked at myself, and I said, hey, what's your disability? And my disability is that I can't create beautiful works of sculptures out of cardboard. I can't read code and memorize it to make video games. My brain doesn't allow me to do the things you guys do. So that's my disability. And so the question is, who's disabled? Is it you or me?
It's a really good point.
That is a good point, because we couldn't do this, certainly. No. This is a gift.
But the answer to that question is nobody. We're just different. Different strengths, different weaknesses. So.
Very true.
Well, it's quite evident by looking at this work, and thank you so much for bringing it in.
Thank you.
Did we get a good shot of the brake franklin? Did we concentrate on the bridge enough?
I
feel like I'm in one of those movies where I've eaten something that made me big.
Like King Kong or something?
Beautiful work. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Quick break.
Really excellent work there. That's some very good stuff. The construction there out of cardboard. Congratulations to them on their work. I don't often do this, but I do want to reach back to yesterday. There was a story I didn't get a chance to show you, but it's an important one, and another one that's a Good Friday, good story for the weekend. If you have an opportunity to donate and give to this fund, that'd be excellent. City pools are popular throughout Philadelphia, but some kids don't have the proper swimwear. See how one man is working to change that with your help. Here's the story from Good Day Philadelphia yesterday.
Cannot wait to find out when the pools will be opening throughout the city for this year. Some of our kids, though, don't have proper bathing suits. We want to change that. Parks and Recs need your help. Mike and Alex are outside to get the breaking news.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. We'll be here with Catherine Ott-Level, who is the director and overall this, especially when it comes to the pools. A lot of people are excited about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But we're also here with Anthony Washington. And Anthony, how long ago was it when you started putting together a collection for lots of things that kids need at the pool?
Since 2005.
2005. And what made you decide, hey, maybe I should get something together?
Because it turned away a lot of kids who couldn't swim in our community.
Because a lot of kids love the pool when it's hot, they want to cool down, but you notice they didn't have anything to wear to get in the pool.
Right.
Okay. And since then, how well has it gone?
It's gone great, I think the biggest thing was people don't realize how much wearing clothing affects the conditions of the pools.
What would get you turned away from a pool?
Yeah, if you're not wearing appropriate swimwear. So
What is appropriate?
basically it's a bathing suit. You know, you have to wear a bathing suit, and it can't be just underwear and regular clothes. So you do have to be in swimwear, and that's a barrier for some kids in our communities. And so rec leaders like Anthony and other rec leaders at other centers, have expressed this need year after year to say we don't want to turn kids away because they're not wearing the appropriate swimwear.
So how do we help? Are we giving you the money, or should we go out and buy the suits and then put them in the big box?
Yeah, so inspired by the work Anthony and other rec leaders have done, we have a citywide campaign this year for the first time ever called Suit Up for Summer.
Oh.
And it's basically we're collecting swimwear, new swimwear, so swim trunks, swimsuits for adults and kid sizes. It's all for youth. It will all be distributed to youth, but we're also collecting goggles and flip-flops and beach towels and swim diapers.
Well, we'll go through everything that you can donate, but I just want to make sure. So this is what people should be looking for. Will it be boxes like this one with a banner in front?
That's right, yeah. And we have 6 different locations around the city in every different neighborhood. So
you have Center City, West Philly, Northeast Philly, Northwest, South, North, and the drop-off times are particular times?
Yeah, 2 to 7 p.m. So we're asking people to drop off between those hours.
And that's Monday through Friday. So let's look at some of the things
Do
then.
you want to put one in our lobby?
Oh, that would be awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Maybe I'll have to talk to the management. here
Yeah,
to
we
see
would
if can
love
do
that. We would love that.
Yeah, it'd be cool. People
Yeah.
just drop it off.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people probably want to help with this. Let's talk about the things that they can donate.
Yeah, they can donate bathing suits, swim trunks, swim diapers, goggles, any Coast Guard approved life vest, and also flip-flops. Flip-flops are really important because what we find is that kids come to the pool wearing sneakers, and when you jump in the pool and then get back out, you don't want to put your sneakers back on, but we also don't want them walking around the playground in bare feet. So flip-flops and swim shoes are awesome. And then lastly, beach towels. And our plan is to distribute these to rec centers throughout the city, and then our rec leaders, when kids come and maybe they don't have the appropriate swimwear, they need a pair of flip-flops, or they don't have their towel, the rec leader can say, hey, go check out the bin.
Now, these are not used. These,
No,
you go
we
out
want
and
new
buy
items
them.
only, correct.
Every item needs to be new.
Every item needs to be new, correct, with tags.
With tags. Okay, that's also important.
Anthony, you're the man. What a great idea. 14 years now?
Yeah, 14 years.
But he's been a rec leader for 27 years, and Anthony Washington is a hero. And there's this level of microheroism that happens in neighborhoods throughout our city, and rec leaders like Anthony are just an inspiration to us all. He's been at Nelson and Waterloo and West Kensington for 27 years.
You're the man.
And so how does it feel to know that now this is such a big initiative and we're doing this all over the city?
It surprised me. It surprised me that the commissioner listened that well. I mean, she took it into consideration, and this was a discussion a year ago. a year ago. And
Now it's come to fruition.
Yes.
So let's talk about the pools. I mean, we've been talking about getting in, all the bathing suits. The pools aren't open right now, and it's hot.
They're coming, yeah.
So tell us the date.
All right, our opening day is going to be this year on June 17th. Bridesburg Pool is a brand new pool, the first new pool we've opened in years. It's a multi-million-dollar improvement at Bridesburg Rec Center. And then after that, for the next 10 days, pools will open on a rolling basis, and you can check out on our website, www.philly.gov/Parks and Recreation. We'll be posting next week sometime the full pool schedule for the season. It is the most anticipated schedule ever.
What time on June 17th? Hopefully it's during our show.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's not. It's in the afternoon. Yeah.
No,
So
food.
it'll be a big day, though. A big day in Bridesburg.
Will we have someone jump in the pool?
I hope so. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about the mayor. But last year,
we'll take that.
Last year, Councilman Squilla jumped in, so this is Councilman Heenan,
Oh,
and we're
yeah.
hoping that he makes a jump in. We'll see.
Okay.
It's tradition.
Nicely done.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
you for doing this for our kids.
I've had myself on camera, but didn't have my mic unmuted. Important and excellent work there by Anthony Washington, the supervisor of Waterloo Pool. Thanks to him for that work, collecting and trying to overcome that barrier. I don't know that I've heard the term micro-heroism before, but that certainly applies. As the commissioner said there, lots of good work happening throughout the city, and it's our pleasure to try and find some of those stories and bring them to you and share them with the public so people know the good work that's being done. That's going to do it for a good day. Fox 29 News Now. You're looking outside our studios. Dry conditions right now. Should stay that way throughout the day. Let's give you one last look at the 7-day forecast so you can plan ahead. 84, sunny and nice today. We've got some clouds returning on Saturday, and then some thunderstorms Sunday. Monday looks sunny and cooler, sunny and nice Tuesday. Shower chance again on Wednesday, and a storm chance on Thursday. Leave you with a look at the Ocean City Beach and Boardwalk, Music Pier in the background. However you're going to be spending the weekend, have a great one, and we'll see you back here on Monday on Fox 29 News Now. Thanks for watching.